Blessed Lord, brothers and sisters, another Shabbat lesson. This is an impromptu video. I'm going to title it Brief History of Cern, brothers and sisters. Brief History of Cern. And, brothers and sisters, the beast system is all around us. We are in the beast system, like the saying say, the belly of the beast, right? And their symbolism is all over the place. It is in their advertisement, in their logos, especially the Cern. If you look at Cern closely, brothers and sisters, you'll see them the logo 666, right? And these people are into some high experimental and gene splicing and manipulation of things, brothers and sisters, right? These are the last days, as it was in days of now, so shall it be in the days of the coming of Son of Man, brothers and sisters. They are trying to play the Most High, they're trying to play God. You see what I mean? They want to see them from the Most High, they want to be above the Most High, just like Satan. These are their children. They have that same spirit. You see, brothers and sisters, right? And Cern is made up of over 20-something countries, brothers and sisters, right? Yes, brothers and sisters, 23 member states Cern is made up of. And those identity thieves located in Northeast Africa, brothers and sisters, in Stolen Land, right? They are a member. And Cern is in location, is in United States. Well, not United States, but between France and Switzerland. Right, brothers and sisters? So that tell you. And those identities, they are the only non-European Union or non-European country that is a member of Cern, to let that sink in. And Cern also, too, brothers, is a member of the United States General Assembly. So all this links into one. That's why you see this they shoot from the hip for those identities over there to maintain the lies and deception of they claiming to be Jews, which they are not, but are synagogue of Hashatan, which is a correct description, not by me, but by the Most High, who know these things will take place beforehand. A lot of people don't know, even I didn't know until I did my research, brothers and sisters, that Cern is the inventor of the World Wide Web. Ain't that scary, brothers and sisters? Cern is the inventor of the World Wide Web. An interesting word use is World Wide Web. Web. What spun web, brothers and sisters? Spiders, right? And what the spider used the web for to entrap his meal, right? That's why a lot of people get trapped in the web. And you see that on social media. They're all trapped, they're all addicted in foolishness and exposure of their self-hatred just for attention from people who they will never meet in life. Right, brothers and sisters? Right, brothers and sisters, so on that note, watch this video. Right, like, share, subscribe, it's free. Blessed love, shalom.
3 concerns about Cern 666, location of Satan. 3 concerns about Cern 666, location of Satan and mysterious. 3 concerns about Cern 666, location of Satan and mysterious statue. Number 1, logo. The European Organization for Nuclear Research, commonly known as Cern, is an intergovernmental organization that operates the largest laboratory for particle physics in the world. It was established in 1954 and is located in Meyrin, a western suburb of Geneva on the border between France and Switzerland. Cern is made up of 23 member states, with Israel being the only non-European full member, admitted in 2013. Cern is also an official member of the United States General Assembly. Cern is an international organization that facilitates physics research. Multiple experiments have been set up at Cern through collaborations between various countries. The organization is famous for housing the Large Hadron Collider, LHC, which is the world's biggest and highest energy particle collider. Additionally, Cern is the place where the World Wide Web was created. The logo of Cern, the European Organization for Nuclear Research, is stylized representation of particle tracks. However, some people believe that it resembles the number 666, which is commonly associated with the mark of the beast. This is merely a coincidence, but it has fueled speculation about the nature of Cern's work. The logo was designed by a British graphic designer named Marguerite Bucquin, who was inspired by the tracks left by particles in a cloud chamber. The logo has been used since 1954 and has undergone only minor changes since then. This has led many to make a connection between Cern and the Antichrist. Throughout history, showmen have amazed audiences with elaborate hoaxes. These showmen didn't see their shows as deceptive because they believed that their audiences were willing participants in the spectacle. However, during the period of the tribulation, a new showman will emerge who will surpass all previous performers. Unlike typical showmen, his tricks will not be mere entertainment or freely chosen. This showman will convince entire nations to disarm and give him complete control by promising peace and prosperity. The Antichrist, along with his false prophet, will persuade millions that his government and economic system are the way forward. The original text contained an apocalyptic reference to a beast's mark. This has been removed in the rewritten text to focus on the positive message of the first two lines. What is the mark of the beast? According to the book of Revelation, the false prophet, also known as the beast from the earth, will implement a mark to strengthen the Antichrist's one-world rule. He causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or on their foreheads, and that no one may buy or sell except one who has the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Revelation 13 verses 16 to 17. During the tribulation, every living person will need to bear the beast's mark. Just like in ancient Rome, it will be necessary to function in society. Why 666? There has been much speculation about the significance of the number 666. Some believe that it is connected to biblical figures like Goliath, who was 6 cubits tall and wore 6 pieces of armor, or the statue of Nebuchadnezzar, which was 60 cubits high and 6 cubits wide and had 6 musical instruments. Others have suggested that the number relates to leaders like Nero or other world figures. But all of these ideas are merely conjectures and do not provide any real insight into the meaning of the number. According to Revelation 13 verse 18, the number 666 is said to represent man. This is further supported throughout the Bible. The book of Genesis tells us that man was created on the 6th day of creation, while the Old Testament law required men to work 6 days a week. Furthermore, a Hebrew could only serve as a slave for a maximum of 6 years, and after 6 years of sowing, a field had to lie fallow. It's important to note that the number 666 doesn't necessarily represent an individual, but rather the human race as a whole. Some believe that the number symbolizes the pinnacle of human ingenuity and competence, as well as the Antichrist. the ultimate manifestation of man's attempts to rule the world before Jesus ultimately triumphs over all those who oppose him. Number 2. The Statue of Shiva. On June 18th, Cern revealed a new and unique landmark, a 2-meter-tall statue of their Indian god lord Shiva. The Director General watched alongside Dr. Katkodkar, and Mr. Chandrasekhar signed the guest book. This statue was a present from India, marking the long and ongoing relationship between Cern and India, which began back in the 1960s. It was unveiled by the Director General, Dr. Robert Amor, His Excellency Mr. K.M. Chandrasekhar, the Ambassador, WTO Geneva, and Dr. Anil Katkodkar, the Chairman of the Atomic Energy Commission and Secretary, Department of Atomic Energy from India. This statue depicts Lord Shiva in his Nataraj form, which is significant in the Hindu religion as it symbolizes life force or Shakti. According to the accompanying plaque, it is believed that Lord Shiva used to dance to create the universe, is responsible for its ongoing movement, and will ultimately bring it to an end. Carl Sagan compared this cosmic dance to the study of subatomic particles. The statue was crafted in India using a wax model, soil mold, and liquid metal. After removing the wax, the metal was poured into the hollow mold, and the final statue was polished and given an antique finish. The statue can be found on permanent display in the square between buildings 39 and 40, which is just a short distance from the main building. However, some people have expressed concern that the statue is a sign of occult activity at Cern. Some individuals are concerned about the fact that Shiva, who is also known as the Destroyer of Worlds, is represented by a statue at Cern. They believe that the experiments being conducted by the organization could lead to catastrophic outcomes. On the other hand, Cern has dismissed these claims, stating that the statue is merely a symbol of peace and comprehension. Despite these assurances, some people remain unconvinced about the intentions of Cern. They believe that the statue of Shiva is a warning sign and that Cern is meddling with forces it does not comprehend. How are idols connected to spirits? Deuteronomy 32 verses 16 to 17, New American Standard Bible. They made him jealous with strange gods, to gods whom they have not known, new gods who came lately, whom your fathers did not know. This text clearly connects this worship with spirits. They are in contrast with the true God, the rock, in verses 15 and 17. Leviticus 17 verse 7 adds another important connection. A desire for supernatural contact with the spirit world often draws people towards powers apart from those offered by God through a relationship with Jesus Christ and His Holy Spirit. Idols have always been a concern to Christians. For example, in the Bible we see the result of the golden calf idol. This idol is strange, as it was created by a man that was a righteous spiritual leader. In Exodus 32, there was an unusual event that happened after the Israelites escaped from Egypt. According to the Bible, God miraculously parted the Red Sea, allowing the Israelites to pass through while the Egyptians were pursuing them. Once the Israelites had safely crossed to the other side, God caused the sea to close back up, drowning the pursuing Egyptians. During Moses' absence on Mount Sinai retrieving the Ten Commandments, the Israelites committed an action that is commonly seen in the Old Testament. They became irritated. Moses was on the mountain for a long time, receiving instructions from the Lord. 40 days and 40 nights, in fact. That was apparently too long for the Israelites. They were tired of waiting and were impatient. They despised the one whom God used to deliver them from slavery. This Moses, we don't know what happened to him. They also demanded that Aaron created an idol to lead them in Moses's and the Lord's place, a rejection of the first two commandments and a repudiation of their vow to obey the Lord. Tragically, Aaron listened to them and told them to bring him gold, which he fashioned into the image of a calf. This decision holds significance as the Egyptians and Canaanites, who were the initial occupants of the land promised to Israel, worshipped calf-shaped deities. As a result, Israel scorned the great I Am who had rescued them, and instead worshipped a false god of the nations. The praise that was due to God alone was bestowed upon a gold statue. Aaron declared that they would hold a festival to the Lord, and the people brought burnt offerings and fellowship offerings. It's important to remember that the people performing sacrifices to this idol referred to it as the Lord, despite the fact that the true Lord had prescribed different practices. Religious synthesis always leads to false religion. When idolatry is mixed with Christianity, Christianity is no longer the same. People sat down to eat and drink before getting up to party. They were clearly not having a harmless celebration. Its foundation was rejection of the true God, and the party most likely incorporated corrupt cultic practices from other nations, such as drunkenness and immorality. Paul quotes this verse when he warns the Corinthians, "Don't become idolaters." Moses had been on the mountain for days in God's presence and was completely unaware of what was going on. God informed Moses that Moses' people, notice he did not say my people, acted corruptly and had quickly abandoned God in favor of idol worship. The Lord declared that they were a stiff-necked people who would be destroyed. After all, he would be able to turn Moses into a great nation instead. Moses didn't want to become the patriarch of a new nation without the Israelites. Instead, he pleaded with God to spare them from destruction. He didn't make the appeal based on their worthiness, but on God's reputation and character. Moses descended the mountain, carrying the 2 tablets inscribed with God's writing. While Joshua was on the mountain with Moses, he heard commotion coming from the Israelite camp and mistakenly thought an enemy invasion caused it. But Moses was wiser. Moses was filled with anger when he witnessed the people dancing around the calf. This led him to break the tablets in disappointment, as Israel had broken the covenant made by God with them in a short span of time. The Israelites were made to drink the powder of a burnt calf, which was a consequence of their sin. Exodus 32, verses 21 to 24. Then Moses said to Aaron, "What did this people do to you, that you have brought such a great sin upon them?" And Aaron said, "Do not let the anger of my Lord burn. You know the people yourself, that they are prone to evil. For they said to me, 'Make a god for us who will go before us. For this Moses, the man who brought us up from the land of Egypt, we do not know what happened to him.' So I said to them, 'Whoever has any gold, let them tear it off.' Then they gave it to me, and I threw it into the fire, and out came this calf." Moses had a confrontation with his brother Aaron, who was tasked with leading Israel to know and obey God. However, Aaron led them into committing a serious sin. Instead of taking responsibility for his actions, Aaron shifted the blame to the people, as if they coerced him into it. Then he made this absurd claim: "When I threw the gold into the fire, this calf came out." As a result, he falsely implied that the idol was created supernaturally. Moses recognized that the people were out of control. Despite the fact that he had confronted them with their sin, many remained unrepentant. So he exclaimed, "Whoever is for the Lord, come to me." When the Levites gathered around him in response, Moses dispatched them to carry out God's judgment on those who continued to practice idolatry and immorality. As a result, 3,000 men were killed within a short period of time. Sin is no joke. It brings death. The next day, Moses reminded the people of their sin and declared that he would intercede with God on their behalf. This is followed by another remarkable example of intercessory prayer in the Bible. Moses confessed the people's sin and pleaded for their forgiveness. If God refused to forgive them, Moses requested that God destroy him instead of them. He was ready to give his life for this ungrateful, sinful people. We also see this in the image of gold. King Nebuchadnezzar gave the order for the creation of a colossal statue made of gold. The gold statue that Nebuchadnezzar had commissioned must have been magnificent. It stood 90 feet tall. It's possible that the king planned it so that he could consolidate his power by bringing together all levels of his officials for a grand ceremony. These rulers were to attend the dedication of the statue erected by King Nebuchadnezzar and fall face down in worship of it. Everyone who disobeyed this command ran the risk of being cast into a burning furnace and being burned to a crisp. Everyone obeyed Nebuchadnezzar's orders because he was determined to establish himself not only as the uncontested political leader of Babylon, but also as the supreme religious authority in the city, or at the very least, almost everyone. Due to the fact that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were among the officials that were present at the massive gathering, a confrontation was unavoidable. 3 of the men in the room did not bow down, even though everyone else in the room did. Many people cannot imagine that social pressure. It was not an easy fit. When Nebuchadnezzar found out about the situation, he immediately flew into a rage. It's surprising that he gave the accused a chance to respond to the charges leveled against them. That he did may indicate his regard for them. But make no mistake, the king would accept only one response: total concession. They had 2 options: either worship the enormous gold idol or perish in the fire. Despite his earlier praise for the Hebrew God, Nebuchadnezzar added, "Who is the God who can deliver you from my power?" The king's question, as before, would be answered eventually. These valiant Jewish men defied the king's direct order and placed themselves in the hands of God. Their response is quite impressive. In other words, they said, "We'd rather fear our God than your furnace any day. Even if he decides to let us burn, we will still serve the living God rather than your dead idol." Priceless. They preferred death to unfaithfulness to God and had no doubt planned for the possibility of this day for a long time. It is hard to fathom how angry Nebuchadnezzar was when his authority was challenged, but reportedly his face turned red with fury. In response, he ordered the furnace to be heated 7 times hotter than usual. When Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were tossed into the flames, the radiant heat was so great that the men carrying them were killed. No doubt wearing flammable clothing, the faithful Hebrews had no hope, unless hope itself intervened. It was God's standard for Israel to be different from the nations around them, but they had not obeyed. Sin always hurts. It always shackles. One reason Israel fell to the Assyrians was God's anger over Asherah and Baal. Number 3. Is this the location of Satan? Many theorists have come to think that Cern is the location of Satan. What is Cern, and why do people think that Satan is located here? I will tell you, and I will also tell you precisely what the Bible said. Due to its close ties to Pergamum, many people believe that Cern is the location of Satan based on a text in the book of Revelation. Rather than Cern, the book of Revelation shows us that at a particular time, Satan was located in Pergamum. Revelation 2 verses 12 to 17, New American Standard Bible. "And to the angel of the church in Pergamum write, the one who has the sharp 2-edged sword says this, I know where you dwell, where Satan's throne is, and you hold firmly to my name and did not deny my faith even in the days of Antipas, my witness, my faithful one, who was killed among you, where Satan dwells. But I have a few things against you, because you have some there who hold the teachings of Balaam, who kept teaching Balak to put a stumbling block before the sons of Israel, to eat things sacrificed to idols, and to commit sexual immorality. So you too have some who in the same way hold to the teaching of the Nicolaitans. Therefore repent, or else I am coming to you quickly, and I will wage war against them with the sword of my mouth. The one who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. To the one who overcomes, I will give some of the hidden manna, and I will give him a white stone, and a new name written on the stone, which no one knows except the one who receives it. So, what is Pergamum? Now, when you get to Pergamum, the surprise is to find that it's really two cities separated by about 400 or 500 meters vertically. There is the lower town of Pergamum, now called Asapalion, and then the upper town, the Acropolis. The word Acropolis is made up of two words, acro, which means summit, and polis, which means city. So the Greeks were very fond of building cities on summits as Athens was. Indeed, one of these 7 is called Little Athens for that reason. So we have the Pergamum town on the summit, and then this steep hill. There's only a little winding road up to the top, and you come right down into the valley. And there, on the plain, is the other city of Pergamum. Let me start down at the bottom one. For 300 years, it served as the capital city for the Attalids, and later for the Romans. After the last Attalid king bequeathed it to Rome, it became the capital city of Asia. Although Ephesus was a more significant city, the Roman governor resided here and not in Ephesus. The lower city is now centered around a massive hospital, and the residents' primary concern is health. The Asclepieion, a temple dedicated to the god of healing, Asclepius, is located here, hence the name of the lower town. Asclepius was known as the savior for his ability to cure people of their diseases. Today, it is still a fascinating place to visit. In ancient times, there was a temple of health with a hospital surrounding it. The hospital had wards and baths with natural spring water for bathing. One fascinating feature was a long tunnel with holes in the roof that connected the baths to the wards. As sick people were transported through the tunnel, priests of Asclepius would shout out through the holes saying, "You're healed! You are healed!" This voice coming up from the hole would give them hope and assurance. The symbol of Asclepieion, the god of healing, was a serpent, which is still used on the Royal Army Medical Corps badge to this day. As you walk around the lower town, you can feel the towering presence of the Acropolis, which is far more impressive than Edinburgh Castle. It's a sheer mountain covered with ruins on the top, some of which are spectacular. The top is what we are concerned about, and it's one of the most spectacular visits we made. Wealth and health tend to go together, since people who are making money are concerned about health, since losing health means that nothing can be done with the money. This has led to an increase in the interest in health in our country in the last 20 years, and many health stores and health foods have opened as a result. On top of the hill, there are 3 temples, 4 in total, 3 of which are dedicated to Greek gods and 1 to a Roman emperor. The 3 Greek gods are Athena, Dionysus, the god of wine, and the surrounding area is full of vineyards, and Zeus, who is considered the most important among them. The temple of Zeus was the most magnificent among all the other temples. While the others were quite small, the temple of Zeus measured 90 feet square and 20 feet high atop its base. It had a podium, which was like a base with steps up the front. I can show you a picture of it in a moment. On the steep hillside, there is a theater that is located on a steep slope. However, once you reach the top, you can find several temples. The second largest library in the world was also situated here, with the first one being Alexandria University. Even today, you can still see the library where they kept all the parchments and books. On top of the Acropolis, you can find several temples, including the famous Temple of Zeus. On top of a towering hill surrounded by temples, libraries, and theaters, there was a colossal armchair situated in front of the Temple of Zeus. From this vantage point, one could overlook the lower town. The chair emitted a constant column of smoke, making it an awe-inspiring sight. Some believe that this temple and the enormous armchair may be the location mentioned in the Bible where Jesus talks about Satan's seat or throne. The black smoke rising from the chair was visible from the valley below and dominated the view. According to some accounts, this was Satan's actual residence on Earth. Although he would visit other parts of the Earth, this is where he lived permanently. This was his throne and the capital of his kingdom. The city that once served as the capital of earthly kings for 300 years now stands as the capital of the kingdom of this world. In Matthew 12, Jesus referred to this world as Satan's kingdom, using the phrase, "How can a kingdom divided stand against itself?" He spoke of Satan as the ruler, prince, and god of this world. As you look up at the towering Acropolis, you may feel a certain level of unease. In the same passage, Jesus also says, "I know where you live," conveying a sense of permanence rather than temporariness. This means that the people had no chance of moving away. I believe you must reside in that location permanently, and I understand that you must stay there. However, he does not allow any wrongdoing in the church to be excused because of that. This is quite remarkable. Jesus is compassionate, but he does not ignore what is wrong. He is firm and understanding of the challenges we face, but he does not condone compromise. There is a beautiful balance in this approach. While Satan has agents everywhere, he is not omnipresent and can only be in one place at a time. This was his chosen location, a high place. Antipas is an intriguing figure. He was the first person to die as a martyr from the 7 churches of Asia, even before John himself. He was imprisoned for being a traitor, but had not yet died. However, he was the first person to be martyred in the churches of Asia. His name is significant, as anti means against, and pas means everyone. So Antipas had to stand alone against everyone. In the book of Revelation, Jesus describes Antipas as his faithful witness and special person. The Greek word for witness is martyr, which means someone who gives a faithful testimony in court. However, over time, the meaning of the word martyr changed. Nowadays, when we hear the word martyr, we think of someone who dies for their beliefs. But during the early years of the church, being faithful to the truth about Jesus often meant facing death. As a result, the word martyr took on a new meaning. When Jesus called Antipas his faithful martyr, he meant that Antipas had paid the ultimate price for his faith. Is Satan in hell? Satan is not currently residing in hell. Instead, he is believed to wander the earth, trying to entice people into committing sins and turning away from God. This is mentioned in 1 Peter 5 verse 8, which advises people to stay alert and vigilant as Satan is like a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour. It is believed that Satan operates both on earth and in the heavens surrounding it, rather than being confined in hell. Satan is walking through the earth. Satan is not omnipresent, which means he is not present everywhere at once. He is a finite, created being, and omnipresence cannot be attributed to him. Ezekiel 28 verse 15, Satan was created by Christ, who created all things, Colossians 1 verse 16. However, Satan was not originally an evil being. He has boundaries and is not infinite in any way, including his presence. Only God is omnipresent. Psalm 139, verses 7 to 11. The book of Job tells us that Satan can travel to heaven and roam about the earth. Job 1, verse 6. This demonstrates that the devil can move between different locations, but he is never described as present everywhere. Satan and his demons have abilities that humans do not, but they are still limited. In Luke 8, verse 33, it is mentioned that the demons had to leave the possessed man of the Gerasenes to enter the pig. Similarly, in Matthew 4, verse 11, Satan is described as leaving Jesus after tempting him. This means that if he left Jesus, he was no longer present with him. Therefore, it is clear that Satan is limited in space and time. Satan is known to be a deceiver, as mentioned in Revelation 12, verse 9. He tries to make people believe that he is omnipresent like God. However, this is not true. Satan fell because of his sin of pride and his desire to be like God, as mentioned in Isaiah 14, verses 13 to 14.
Big prophetic development. Klaus Schwab's right-hand man could introduce the beast system. There is much discussion about this man, with many theories and debates surrounding his ideologies. I would like to offer a biblical perspective on some intriguing news about this man and his replacement. You might wonder why Christians should be interested in this. There are two main reasons. First, the Bible instructs us to be in the world but not of the world. This means that while we are in the world, we will be affected by worldly matters to some extent. Second, the Bible calls us to be the salt of the earth and the light of the world.